innocent people, I want you to know you are now the criminal problem we are focused on. You endanger families, children, and people who were simply going about their day. In the state of Louisiana, along with our law enforcement partners on both the federal and local level, are going to start responding swiftly and decisively. Now, I want to talk directly about our judicial system. You know, judges hold enormous power, but they are not social workers with a gavel. They are the final gatekeepers of public safety. And I'm talking about both at the state level and especially in the Middle District at the federal level as well. People say, we cannot arrest our way out of this problem, and they are right. But we can sentence our way out of this problem. So let me be clear. Judges who continuously release violent offenders back on our streets, who fail to use the full authority of their office to protect the public, are going to be held accountable. When judges refuse to enforce boundaries or consequences, they're not rehabilitating anyone. What they're doing is abandoning young people until a tragedy like this becomes inevitable. And you know what? That's not justice. That's negligence. That's masquerading around as mercy. The people of Louisiana expect judges to uphold the law, to apply serious consequences for serious crimes, and to prioritize the safety of our citizens above all else. If a judge chooses to hand down weak sentences to known violent actors, if a judge decides to turn violent offenders loose with minimal restrictions, if a judge fails to treat gang-driven violence without the gravity it deserves, I am going to call them out individually, publicly, clearly, and directly. And I mean even the federal judges as well. Because when a judge fails to impose the appropriate consequences, that failure should not fall on the state. It should fall on the judge's shoulders. And when they fail to do their job, they put innocent people in danger. I'm asking the legislature for a full, while the session is going on, for a full and holistic review of our sentencing laws. I will support, again, reforms that ensure judges have both the authority and understand the obligation to keep dangerous individuals off of our street. We are no longer going to accept complicity on our bench. Everyone, including judges, will be accountable for public safety. And we're not just, and while we're talking about accountability in action, I'm asking that in coordination with local, state, and federal partners, including all of our law enforcement components, the National Guard, ATF, FBI, US DOJ, I am asking them to prepare for a targeted warrant sweep focused on the individuals in the neighborhoods that these individuals came out of, or anyone who's connected to this incident. And I'm hoping that in the coming days, we will be executing warrants on every outstanding individual that is tied to this activity. Adults who enable juvenile offenders need to face consequences as well. And I'm sure we don't have a shortage of outstanding warrants here in Baton Rouge. And I am asking them to begin executing them. This is not a one-day response. I expect this to be a sustained effort. To the people of Baton Rouge, in every neighborhood affected by this kind of violence, I want you to know we are drawing the line. We are going to protect innocent lives, but we are going to start imposing some consequences. And we will not allow neighborhood gangs to terrorize our communities or go into public spaces and injure or kill innocent people. If you bring your violence into public spaces, you're going to face immediate and direct action from law enforcement across every level. As you can see, we're unified, we are coordinated, and we are committed. And I want to emphasize that public safety is a team sport. It means that the members of our community have to help us as well. It's fine to see police officers in uniforms, but you do just as important of a job as they do by giving us the information or letting us know about activity, criminal activity, so that we can stop that activity before it gets to yesterday's tragedy. I do not want Louisiana to be defined by lawlessness. And quite frankly, I want us to be defined as strength, the strength of our communities, and by our resolve to protect people. Thank you, and I'll take any questions that you all may have. I guess maybe we should start from left to right.
Go left to right, only on topic right now.
Governor, did Mr. Lee give any indication that, did he confess when he turned himself in? And also, what was his demeanor like?
Yeah, so we're still early on in the investigation. He turned himself in with his attorney, and to my knowledge, did not really give any statements. Everything we got comes from exhaustive investigative efforts by our detectives, which led us to be able to draft an arrest warrant, which was signed by a judge to place him under arrest.
And let me remind everyone, this is an ongoing investigation. So a lot of the questions that I'm sure you'd like to ask and get answered will not be able to be answered because it is an ongoing investigation. The other thing too is, and I think Hilla spoke about that, is that these types of investigations are not solved, in today's digital world, like a TikTok video, right? Or like one episode of Law and Order. These are very complicated cases, and quite frankly, we want to give our law enforcement agencies the time necessary to put the case together so that the district attorney gets an arrest is one thing. The prosecution is what we're really after, okay? And in order to do that, we want them to have the time necessary, and I ask for the patience from the media and the public to give them that time so that they can put a case good enough for the district attorney to go into court and to hold those accountable for their actions.
Governor, you talked also a lot about judicial reform. Do you believe that any judges potentially were lenient with the suspects, that either the one that turned himself in or the ones that are at large?
Well, here's what I'd say. Y'all do a great job of investigating all kind of information, and the courthouse is full of data, okay, on judges. In fact, we're dealing with judges in New Orleans right now that just continuously let these people back out on the street.
But Governor, specifically to this case.
Listen, what I'm telling you is the continual action of that has led to this case. But yet no one is out there holding those judges accountable when they just continue to allow. It would not surprise me as the people who are involved in this, before it's all over, don't have an extremely lengthy rap sheet. We probably won't see all of the juvenile misconduct that occurred because we've hidden that from the general public. It's a debate that we had in the legislature last year.
Governor, you're talking about judges and wanting to hold them accountable. As you know, here in Louisiana, it is against the law to have cameras in courtrooms. Do you support that happening, being changed in order to hold these judges accountable?
I think there's plenty enough data, okay, in the judge's final decision. We don't need to turn our courtrooms into some media live circus. Y'all do your job and go to the courthouse. You know who those judges are. You see these folks working day and night, arresting the same people. Y'all see the juvenile violence that goes on again and again. And yet over the last 5 years before I became governor, or 8 years while I was attorney general, I watched nothing but hug-a-thug policies in this state. a watering down of our criminal justice system, not quite holding those accountable, forgetting the victims rather than and focusing on the criminal, like the criminal was innocent, even after proven guilty. This is the kind of violence that we end up with when we engage in those kinds of policies. And I'm asking the legislature to go back and look at the laws. In fact, people that go into common places and decide to engage in that kind of violence, we should put them away for life. I'm done with them. It doesn't matter how old they are. Somebody has failed. It's not the government's job to raise these people. It's common sense not to go into a public space with a gun and start shooting around blindly. We got 18,000 acres at Angola. And if it's up to me, I'd send them all there for the rest of their lives. Next.
Yep. Chief, this is a question for the chief. So the governor and State Senator Evans are the only ones who have used the word gang in this. Are the suspects or the people, the guy arrested, is this a gang thing? And if so, what gangs are involved?
So, again, y'all are asking a lot of questions that I'd love to open our playbook and open all of our technology and give it to you, but we don't want to do that right now. And what I can say is that this definitely probably has some ties to social media beefs, maybe gang-related stuff, but we're still at the beginning of this. We just arrested him today, and so we're going to keep giving over that information.
But is it fair to say, because there was the mayor came out and said, do not pigeonhole or stereotype young people in our city, but the word gang is being used. Is that a fair assessment, or are you guys as officials, as leaders of the city and state, are you guys jumping the gun on labeling people who may be or may not be connected to this?
Yeah, so I think talking in general, we've been beating around the topic a lot lately. We do have some gangs in Baton Rouge, and those people we're going to be targeting. We worked with the district attorney's office last year to sentence people to in a grand jury get indicted for gang activity. We're going to continue those efforts for people that label themselves as part of a gang. You're on social media boasting that you're part of a gang. We're going to come after you.